And we're recording. There we go. All right, let me flip this around. If you'll hit the live switch there.
Got me in the middle of a yawn. Great way to start the show.
Take you to the middle of the yawn? This is our spontaneous show, so this is just kind of how it works. All right. So are we on, Katie?
Yep.
All right. Do we tag Donny?
I'm not sure if we did or not.
Oh, okay. Well, tag yourself. You got a bug bite. Anyway.
I think you can tag yourself in the live stream.
Yeah, I got bitten by something while here. It's probably gonna be on the video. I got like a bug bite here while I was on the show. There's probably a mosquito in here somewhere. So you see, we're starting off with the really important topics this morning. All right. So would you like to do the intro, sir?
I'm Donny T. West. Didn't really have time to think of another one while we were on break, but I vote Democrat. Very adamant about that.
Okay. So talk about the show. What do we do here?
We're the Greg and Donny News Show.
Go ahead.
Which is
he's
the middle-aged conservative, and I've already said what I am.
The godless communist.
Yes, the godless communist.
Well, no, we gotta put it better. That's like a sarcastic thing. I don't use that all the time. We gotta use a little bit nicer there. But yeah, basically the whole concept of the show is that you don't have to agree on everything to get along. I mean, we are about as different, as two folks can get. I'll say, and that which raised the question earlier, if I was on your campus, Pensacola State College, would I be allowed to speak as freely as I'm speaking here, or would, as a conservative, would I be shouted down?
I still think you'd be able to speak.
Okay.
I know Bill was saying last week he had a negative experience there, but I don't think as it is now that would happen.
Oh, Bill, our guest? Bill Fecky?
Okay.
Yeah. So Bill Fecky was our guest last time.
Good.
All right, so if you're just joining us, we are here in the Imogene Theater. Oh, you know what? In fact, Katie, our technical genius, had a request that we should ask Imogene. Now, Imogene's spirit is still here in the theater, okay? If you talk to Kyle Berner, the manager, who was here a little bit earlier, he is convinced, he has told the stories that you would not believe. And I've been here myself at 1 and 2 in the morning, and there is definitely a presence, or presences, in this building.
We already had a few weird stuff happen.
We do have, yeah, exactly. We got a couple of weird things going on already. And so we just want to thank Imogene for letting us be here. And any of the other spirits that are here, if you want to join us, in fact, you're welcome to gather around the table. And
love to have you.
In fact, I kind of feel something right now. Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See how we got cold all of a sudden? Did you feel that? Okay, they're here. I'm not making this up. It could be Imogene, it could be, I think her father is here, her mother is here, and various other people, but all of a sudden we just got this rush of cold.
Just anyone who wants to make their presence known.
No, they've already made their presence known. They're right here. The only time I felt this before was when I was upstairs watching a show, and then all of a sudden, we got company, dude.
I've been feeling something from that museum right behind us.
That's Katie who's joining us with our...
Yes. Sorry, I'm behind the camera.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. So we got to show you. So, you're talking first.
All right. So I was watching Rachel Maddow the other night.
Who's she?
Love her.
You do?
Yep. One of the best on television. Better than her.
She got that weird one with the short dark hair.
Yes.
Looks like, I don't know, I'm trying to think. She looks like my third grade elementary teacher. Sounds kind of the same condescending tone. No, I had a great third grade teacher. So tell me about Rachel Maddow.
So I was watching her the other night, and she got exclusive audio of Devin Nunes at a closed-door meeting, and he had...
What's a closed-door meeting? How did she get exclusive video?
Someone bought a ticket for the purpose of recording and sending it to her. I don't think she asked him to. There's just some...
Was this a classified meeting?
No. It was a fundraiser, and you had to pay good money to get in.
Yeah, they sort of expect stuff to go on. Okay, so what happened?
So Nunes, some very interesting stuff.
One of my personal heroes, by the way, Devin Nunes, head of the House Intelligence Committee, is breaking wide open the Obama spy scandal that's now emerging.
Well, first of all, he said a few things we hadn't heard him say in public before.
Okay.
Like he said he finds some of Donald Trump's tweets embarrassing. And
everybody does that.
And he essentially implied that that some aspects of the infamous Trump Tower meeting might have been criminal. I wasn't expecting that out of him. And then, the big stuff happened.
Okay.
He said that it's very important for the Republicans to keep the House, because if Mueller won't clear Trump, and Sessions won't unrecuse himself, he called them, I believe it was the last hope to protect the president. Now, doesn't that just sound criminal?
No, it doesn't. I'll tell you why. Because Mueller himself is a criminal. All right? The whole Mueller investigation is criminal.
Mueller's a criminal?
Wait a minute. Yes, he is a criminal. He's running a criminal investigation. Not that he's investigating criminals. He himself, the investigation itself is criminal. It's a cover-up. We talked about this before. The purpose of the Mueller investigation is to make sure that Hillary doesn't get investigated for Uranium One, for the FISA document, from all the bribes that she got from Russia for our uranium, 20% of our uranium, that went to the Clinton Foundation, that paid for the fake dossier, that went to the FISA court, that allowed Obama's stooges in the FBI to spy on Trump, both before the election and afterwards. That's what this is. Mueller is a cover-up. Mueller's not designed to find anything. There's been no probable cause to establish the Mueller investigation. They have no basis to be there. In fact, the best thing Mueller can do from the Democrat point of view, sorry I'm raising my voice, I'm really into this one, but the best thing Mueller can do is find nothing. And then the Democrats say, well, we have to keep looking. Well, and that's not how this works in this country. Mueller is a complete violation of Fourth Amendment due process. You have to have probable cause to start the investigation. You have to know what you're investigating. You have to, when they went into Trump's attorney's office and just ripped everything out of there in the middle of the night. Oh, that was great. They didn't do that to Hillary. No, because she gets a pass because she's a Democrat and because she's a woman and because she's Hillary. She gets a oh, go ahead.
That one was actually organized by a Trump appointee, I believe was Deputy Attorney General in New York.
That person was an idiot.
But he was still appointed by Trump.
I don't care. Trump appoints hundreds of people.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it wasn't this big Obama leftover conspiracy.
No, the conspiracy.
It was one of his own people who saw probable cause to go after Cohen.
Was it established? Was there a warrant?
Yeah.
Signed by a judge?
I believe so.
Do you know the judge?
I'm not sure who the judge was.
That's fine.
But I
you don't have to.
It.
But as long as
it everything by
okay. But that's all right. So that's due process. That's being followed. But the Mueller Commission itself is not. You got all Democrat hacks. They're all donors to the Democrat Party. Can you imagine? And here's the thing. Here's one of those can you imagine arguments that really disgust me. I'm going to pick on the Republicans for a minute here. Really disgust me. They say, oh, if this is a Democrat, they'd be screaming and yelling. Well, why aren't the Republicans screaming and yelling more? It's no excuse to. And I'm talking to Republicans now. It is no excuse to say that if the Democrats would react more, and you're saying, well, if this is Democrat, it wouldn't happen, and not react exactly the same way. So I actually admire the Democrats for reacting to things, even when they have no cause to do so, even when they have no justification, they'll still rally behind their own people. So I admire the party for that. I'm disgusted that they do it, but I do respect them for doing it, even if I think it's wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
fine. But, okay, the idea that Mueller is some Democratic plan, I just want to put this myth to bed right now.
He is a Democratic plan.
I'm getting a bit sick of it. First of all, he's big Bush guy. I mean, he is as conservative as they get.
Bush is a swamp rat. Their whole family is, the whole Bush family is swamp rats.
That may be, but
like
really,
the Clintons.
he's more in line with your way of thinking than he is mine.
No, he's not.
I mean, this is a guy who has more to gain in terms of his views from a Trump presidency than he would from Clinton. And it's not like they're just going after Republicans. A recent report came out that he's looking into shady Democrats, too. He's looking into Tony Vanessa.
Oh, that's just a front. That's just to try to make him look bipartisan, try to make him look equal. It's still, the commission doesn't have a right to exist because they have no probable cause. There's no justification. You can't just go on a fishing expedition. You can't say, well, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about. That's not true, because the government can go after you even if you have done nothing wrong. They will trick you into perjury. They will ask Bill Clinton. We can talk about that kind of stuff. All right. So no, I disagree with you there. But the Mueller Commission, again, if I were the president, I'd make them prove their probable cause. I'd make them prove their existence. I'd make them justify what they're doing, and I'd make sure I would fire half of the investigators on there, put Republicans on it. And here's the thing, we talked about this the other week. Republicans during Watergate were the ones who went after Nixon, Howard Baker, because they had integrity back then. But I don't see any Democrats stepping forward saying, you know what, we did domestic spying. It was wrong. We shouldn't do it because if it's wrong, you know, you can't be right for Democrats and not be right for Republicans. We got company? We got noises?
I just heard a very weird noise.
There are noises. All right. So we talked about this earlier. Wait, you're interrupting. I was on a roll, Katie.
I'm sorry.
Katie, stop that, Katie. All right. So
it came like right above me.
Okay, so just. There's spirits here. Accept that. If you missed what we're talking about, we're in the Imogene. There's spirits around us right now. Remember that? Remember how cold it felt all of a sudden?
Oh yeah.
It was weird. All right. So I'm in the middle of a great rant. Katie. Fine. Our technical advisor getting in the show. All right. So go ahead. Breathe.
Yep.
I caught him mid-breath. Okay. So this is.
So go ahead. First of all, has it been proven that the entire investigation is Democrat? I know a few.
Well, no. We know the members are Democrat. So and it's a Democrat investigation.
Are all 13 of them? Because I've only seen a few.
Yeah.
And I believe they got people from all beliefs and backgrounds
No.
on the investigation to make sure it's impartial.
They're all donors.
And I've heard all this stuff about Mueller being really concerned that he can't find impartial jurors so that everyone...
We can't find impartial jurors.
Because this is such a high-profile thing. He wants to make sure everyone has their fair share.
Change of venue.
Canada. This guy is an exceptional American.
Who?
Mueller.
He's
done more for
a
this country.
hack. He's a hack for the Democrat Party. I don't care if he's a Republican. He's a hack for the Democrat Party right now. He may have had a good past. He may have done some good things in his past, but he's certainly not doing them now.
Served his country, crippled the mafia, took down Enron.
Good for him.
Stood up to Republicans and Democrats alike.
That was good.
And before he started doing what he was appointed to do...
So now I agree with you there. That was the problem. He never should have been appointed to do this. Sessions is the weakest Attorney General I've ever seen. He is but I think he's part of the swamp. I think Kavanaugh, when we get to him, I think he is part of the swamp too. So I think Sessions was put there to make sure that the Justice Department would never seek true justice. You know, Mueller was put there to make sure that Hillary would never get indicted and never get properly investigated. All right. Kavanaugh is being put there. He's like the new Kennedy. He is the one who's going to be the liberal swing vote, and he's like Bork, and I didn't like Bork either. Everybody talks about being Bork and stuff like that. I didn't like him either because these are very pro-government, what we would call the Federalists back in the old days. I'm a Jeffersonian, Madisonian, anti-Federalist, okay? So those are my views. I go with the original intent of the Constitution. So this is the problem. It's like it's like all the best of intentions that Trump has. There's always somebody in place. Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, is there to sabotage him. So you got Paul Ryan, you got Mitch McConnell, you got Robert Mueller, you've got Jeff Sessions, and now you got Brett Kavanaugh. They're all swamp rat plants.
His enablers are swamp rats?
Well, I think there's enablers, though. Make the case. Go ahead.
I mean, even the most ridiculous things he wants to do, Ryan, McConnell, all of them, they jump in line, because whether they agree with it or not.
Ryan had his own agenda. He had his own follow me, my way.
They know in today's Republican Party, you're either with Trump or you're out of there.
I don't think so.
I mean, that might not be what they're
actually... Because the people who are going to run as moderates... Well, you know what's funny? The Republicans who ran against Trump said that they were somehow different, or they were the moderate, they were the responsible. They all lost!
They'll have some comments.
Okay, let's check our comments then. Thank you, Gibby.
A lot of people saying...
Let's take a break for comments.
Please allow Donny to speak. I want to hear what the young people think about this. Hey, thank you.
You know, and actually that's a really good point, because it's an occupational hazard that I am a talk show host.
Right.
It's just, all right. Your turn.
All right. But see, I was talking about, we were debating the so-called rhinos. I really don't think they're all that different from Trump himself. They want to act like they're enemies. Now they want to act like they're the enemies of the Koch brothers. They're all on the same team. They all have the same agenda. It's just a distraction.
All right, well, let's explore that a little bit, because we had a good comment that they want to know, what younger folks are thinking. So what are younger folks thinking as far as the Trump administration and the future? Go ahead and make your comment, then I got an observation I've been thinking about for a bit.
I mean, I really do wish more people my age cared as much as some of us do.
Okay.
I know both the Phil Air and the Gates campaign are staffed up entirely in people around my age. I love that. I love that politics is starting to become the young people.
That's normal. Obama's volunteers were mostly young.
Right.
That's normal for young people to be idealistic. Like I say, when I was in college, I was you.
But with the rise of...
I was a liberal activist, okay? I mean, I changed.
Because people like us used to be the weirdos. Like everyone else...
Why were you the weirdos?
Well, because everyone else, they didn't really care about politics. It was, well, why are you worried about that? That's for old people.
Okay.
Even when
How old were you at that point when that was being said?
Well, I've been into it since I was 4, so I've been hearing this back. Middle school...
You're a lifer.
Middle school was hell for me because of this. But now, with the rise of social media, and with how intense the past couple elections have gotten, we're seeing more and more young people getting in on it. And I love it. I love that people are starting to finally invest in their futures.
It's interesting, and it's something that you can kind of confirm for me. So, Obama was 2008 till 2016. So, in 2008, you were where? Junior high?
I was still in elementary school.
4th grade.
Yeah.
Because I remember they had 4th graders do a mock voting.
Our little discussion here again. Yeah, so what was it?
We did a mock voting in 4th grade when the presidential election.
So here's my theory. Now, you said from like 4th grade you started to get political, right?
When I was 4.
Oh, 4 years old. Okay.
I used to be a Republican.
Wow.
It actually started out when I was 4. My family told me,
You lost your way.
they told me George Bush has to win, our country's going to be in trouble if John Kerry wins.
Well, that's
so I had no idea who either of them were, but I would go around telling people, you know, my little 4-year-old voice, vote for George Bush! John Kerry is dangerous for the country!
Well, actually, John Kerry would have been a disaster as the
He
president.
would have been good.
But George Bush was also a disaster.
He was a weak candidate, but he would have been good.
See, and this is why I like Trump so much.
He's an excellent Secretary of State. I don't care what anyone says, he was great.
Horrible. You see the Iran deal, which
The Iran
finally being overturned, being the new sanctions. So the whole Iran deal has been reversed. In fact, Obama, the best part about the Obama administration is it's all being reversed.
The deal that prevented Iran from receiving a nuclear weapon?
Well,
which now leaves that up in the air.
No.
Yeah, design one.
No, they advanced it somewhat. They gave 140 billion in cash on pallets, plus another 140 million, plus billions in cash from other banks and things like that. Now, the Obama administration has totally funded the Iranian nuclear program. It's total BS what's going on over there. In fact, Israel is much happier now with Trump in office. You know, this is going to actually stop the progress because they're not going to have the money to advance that nuclear program. So, my young political friend, you have it backwards. All right. But let me get to another thing I was thinking of earlier, and that is that you've got to, the reason I asked for when, where you were in school was Obama's office, because your generation kind of became of age under Obama. So the president that you know best, the one you have the most experience with, is Obama. Okay, now when I came to the United States at a very young age, Nixon was the president, and he was on his way, Watergate had already started. Okay, so my introduction to American politics, coming here from Australia, was the president was in deep doo-doo, as they say. And I mean, I can swear, we're not FCC regulated. I have trouble doing it. And so because of that, I went through Nixon, and all the subsequent to Gerald Ford, and to the whole thing. So I have many more presidents that I draw on. In fact, I was in college when Reagan took office, and I was not impressed because I was still a Democrat in those days. So a lot of this has to do with where you are in your life. Okay, now. What I'm curious about is the people that are in middle school now, that Trump is the only president they know. So the folks that are following you are going to look at you, Obama people, as absolute, fools, idiots. They're going to say, what? Look, Trump made America great! So your danger is not the people that are older, it's the people that are younger.
In my opinion, the kids always hate the president. I mean, when I was, it might just be that we were in a big Republican area, but kids were awful to Obama. I remember,
he was a terrible president.
When I was in middle school, a group of kids made a Facebook account that they used to troll people, and the name was Obama Can, first name, last name, Suck It.
Oh,
that was.
Now we don't be too rude on our broadcast here, but yeah. And see, that's not right. And a lot of people, when they criticize politicians, it's like when everybody calls Trump a Nazi. Okay, Trump is not a Nazi. If you really knew what Nazis were, and I made the comment a while back.
Obama wasn't a communist.
No, he wasn't. But he was definitely very far to the left in a lot of what you would call progressive socialist
I don't
politics.
think he was far enough.
Oh, we have to have that debate.
We do.
Okay, so guess what we're going to talk about next week? So let's put big letters here, Obama, because I don't have all the policies in mind right now. Do you have any comments? What do you got?
Yeah, an interesting one. I'm curious what Donny thinks about the Walkaway movement.
All right.
What is the Walkaway?
That's a great topic. Yeah. Well, let's explain it. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, we put on my tinfoil hat here.
What are you gonna call
quite a few of those people, Russian plants.
Really?
I believe that's.
So you believe the Russians meddling in elections again? You think Walkaway is really, they're begging all Democrats to walk away from power. Why would they do that? Russians support Hillary. Oh yeah, you want to hear that one? Do you want to say it again? Just in case you missed it. The Russians support Hillary. Hillary's the one that gave them 20% of our uranium. They never wanted Trump to win. They bribed Hillary. They bribed the Clinton Foundation. The Russians wanted Hillary. Mueller is a cover-up, okay? This is the whole circle. This is how it all, sorry, I interrupted you. This is how it all fits together. So back to Walkaway. Just walk away.
Yeah, so obviously it wasn't started by Russian plants, but there are Russian plants taking advantage of it. That's number one.
Wait a minute, how does that work exactly? And what benefit is this to the Russians?
Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, in today's world, the Republican Party is the pro-Russia party. Remember how back in the day,
acknowledge that out there.
Remember how back in the day Reagan's people used to call us the Blame America First crowd? That's you guys now.
How can that be us now? That doesn't make sense.
Y'all are getting a lot of comments.
Oh, good.
Comments are rolling in this time.
Okay, and here's the thing about the comments too. If we don't get them now, we'll get them, after we get home and do that, like I said, because we only have a
I just want to take this intersection to say you need to be a little bit less.
Yeah. So I'm asking, please explain the other views the walkaway movement is. All right. So essentially, it's this movement, in my opinion, illegitimate. Some people might have a different view.
What is it? Get to
It's
it.
a movement of people saying they're walking away from the Democratic Party for various reasons, and it's just an absolute crock. I mean, a lot of what they're saying is...
Are they real Democrats? Are these genuine registered Democrats that are doing this, or do you think they're plants like you're saying?
50-50, I'd say.
Okay. Has anybody checked the registration of these people?
No, that's something I'll need to do before we talk about it.
Well, I think it's public information. And here I'm coming to your aid a little bit.
Right.
To me, it doesn't. If you're walking away from the Democrat Party, you better be a Democrat. Otherwise, you're disingenuous. You're not helping the political situation by lying. As much as we disagree on a lot of things, that Obama chat's going to be great.
Oh yeah.
We always try to bring integrity to our discussion. We don't. I don't bring up facts that I know to be untrue. And that's part of the political discourse. Is you have to be honest in it. Okay. Now, you don't see a lot of Republicans walking away unless they already did. Because remember when Trump wasn't that favorable in the polls, now he's sort of gaining the polls. So walkaway, what do you think that's going to do to the party?
I don't think it's going to have too big of an impact. I mean, actually before we went on the show, I looked at the Walkaway Facebook group that I saw you're a member of, and
I asked?
Yeah. A lot of my...
Everybody asking the groups out to take a look at that.
A lot of my more right-wing friends are in it, and a lot of the members appear to be Republicans, and it was a closed group. It seems like this is just an echo chamber.
That's an interesting point. So if the walkaway movement is made up of mostly Republicans, let me take a look at that. I'm going to make a note to myself, because I don't want to be... sometimes I'll join things just because I want the information, because I'm trying to get as many sources as possible. But I don't want to give you extra numbers to something. I can't walk away from the Democrat Party because I'm not a Democrat.
Right. There are
check that. Thank you very much.
Valid complaints, obviously, and there are genuinely people who are tired of those and walking away.
Okay.
But I think this is just making a mountain out of a molehill.
And if you want to walk away, vote for somebody else.
Yeah.
Run. What's the need to do something this way? It doesn't make much sense to me.
Like instead
if you're gonna walk away, walk away.
Instead of throwing a tantrum, become the Democratic Party. Run for office. Get the older people out.
Get the older people out?
Yeah. If you don't like the old guard, vote them out.
Which brings us to the person with 3 names when she only needs 2.
There we go.
Because it's unfair that she has 3 names there, but I'm going to use socialist principles. She can't have 3 names, all right? You only get 2. Alexandria Cortez, you like this? We brought this up in the first video this morning. I said it's not fair for Alexandria Cortez to have 3 names when everybody else gets 2. She wants people to pay her fair share of taxes. I want her to use her fair share of names. 2. That's it. That's all you get. 2 names. The things I really get excited about is scary. B5. All right. So
let's talk about her.
So you have a view on the whole Ben Shapiro thing. Now, what do you think of Ben? Now, Ben Shapiro, he's a fairly young guy, but he's very conservative. He's also very articulate, and he gets screamed at. He's not allowed on certain college campuses because he's conservative.
Him, Miley, and almost all this stuff, I think they should be allowed on every campus so everyone can see how big of idiots they are. Like, when the thugs show up and shout them down, that makes them out to be martyrs. When really, these guys are just idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. They go for low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
Really. I mean, all these people Ben Shapiro has destroyed, generally people who don't fully know what they're talking about. I guarantee you, she would have absolutely crushed him in a debate. Who? Alexandria Cortez. I wish she
2 names, see?
Yes.
2 names, I told you. All right.
I wish she would debate him.
Actually, that would be really interesting to do, because the conservatives would say that she doesn't know what she's talking about. Ron DeSantis is running for governor, House of Representatives right now. It was the last guest on my show before I was taken off the air.
I'd love to have him.
3 days after allegedly making radio history, which we're still trying to get certified. He called her socialism wrapped in ignorance, which I thought was screamingly funny. Now, I disagree with your characterizations of Ben Shapiro. I think he does know what he's talking about. I think most of these conservative people do, otherwise I wouldn't support them. But where I do agree with you, and you make a good point, is that it's better, even if you disagree, to have them on campus so you can ask the questions and expose them for who they are. That makes perfect sense to me.
It's a shame what's happened to Berkeley.
Yeah, and I used to live close to Berkeley. In fact, I had one of my guests, I haven't posted that podcast yet, but I had the head of the Berkeley College Republicans.
Did you?
Was a guest on my show for an hour. Oh, yeah, yeah. Hey, I reached out. Go to the Action Radio podcast page.
A lot of good stuff.
So you go to Facebook, the Action Radio, my regular Action Radio page, and then there's the Action Radio podcast page where all my old shows are. And so if you missed me on the air, that's where you can go to catch up on those. But yeah, you know, and this is a problem with college campuses. Are there any particular speech restrictions at Pensacola State College that you'd like to see changed, or are they pretty good about that?
They're really good about it.
Okay.
I know my the head of Corsair, Dr. Ingram, she's one of the
What's the Corsair? What people know?
Oh, our newspaper that I'm a part of. But I know she's...
You should bring an article in here.
I should.
It'd be interesting to go over it. If you want an article you want to talk about, that'd be good. So give me a chance to have a crack at it ahead of time. I'll get my red pen. Or say blue and red. And we can really discuss what it is. That'd be really... Because when you write, you can take the time to do something. And my articles are all Canada Free Press, the Intellectual Conservative. You can check all my articles. And if you find one...
They're pretty interesting.
Well, thank you. If you find one you want to talk about, just let me know. We can bring it in. And we can go over, and then we can tell the people in advance. Because we'll do that sometimes. Some of the stories we are going to talk about. One of the ones I want to get to next is the Green Party.
All right.
And so let's do that. And then we'll get back to. I think we've covered pretty much the Ben Shapiro thing. I guess we both agree for different reasons. You want Ben Shapiro to debate her because you think she'll wipe the floor with him. I want Ben Shapiro to debate her because I think he'll make her look like an idiot. So this is where we disagree in why we want them to debate. But I think we both agree we want them to debate. I like that.
A little bit of compromise.
Consensus. We did it. We achieved it. I'm going to take a Rubio break. Would you like to tell me the story of this? Because this was your post.
Oh, yeah.
And you got in with Ken, my extremely good friend from college. We've been friends for 40 years.
I love Ken.
Ken's a great guy. He really is. I disagree with him constantly. But he's still one of my best friends in the world and always will be.
Very fair and balanced guy. Calls me out sometimes.
Actually, he does. Ken prides himself on being honest. We're not going to mention last names. You got to go find the post. In fact, if Ken wants to, write posts, feel free to do so. But you guys got into it, and I'm curious as to how that whole thing came about with the Green Party. So go from the beginning and sort of explain.
So I posted something on my personal Facebook yesterday by The Root, which this is a very leftist publication. Generally African-American writers offering their perspective. It's very interesting. I don't really agree with a lot about this anyway.
It's not bad to read things you don't agree with.
Right.
I try.
I look into everything. I was just reading Breitbart this morning.
Oh, wow.
But anyway.
And you didn't go into like shock or something like that. Okay, good.
But anyway, so there was a recent big election in Ohio. You might have heard about it. And it was...
Has that been decided yet?
I'm not sure, but it's looking like the Republicans winning.
Okay, because the big fear of Republicans is whenever there's a recount, the Democrats always find new boxes of ballots somewhere. Oh, found a few more, let's count these, and then like all of a sudden, we found the basement, we got a few more ballots, and that's how Al Franken got elected. They kept recounting. I knew that was going to get you. But if you're a conservative Republican, you think the reason Al Franken got elected is because they found enough ballots somewhere to get him elected, and that's what is a fraudulent election.
He got elected because he was offering genuine change. Like, I know we're off topic here, but Al Franken is
there is no topic.
Al Franken is what I want to see more of. I mean, he left his life as a cozy, beloved comedian to be ridiculed, hated, work hard every day.
Sexual assault, sexual misconduct, all the other things.
It was a joke. That picture was a joke. And the other allegations, Roger Stone plans.
I don't know. I'm not sure Roger Stone. You have to tell me about that. But I think you're right in one respect that politicians are being destroyed right now. You can just allege sexual misconduct, and it's almost like an automatic guilty verdict. People, all of a sudden, they have to leave for one. We talked about Roseanne a while back. With her comment. You make one comment, your life's work is now void. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Right, back to the Green Party.
Yeah, back to the Green Party. Anyway,
we do that.
Yes. So there was this big election in Ohio. The Republican was a carbon copy of Trump, even had Trump come down and campaign for him, which a lot of people like John Kasich didn't want him to do, but it looks like it helped him.
Well, John Kasich was very much against Trump. He tried to stop him. He was campaigning against him.
This is sort of another example of the Trump takeover of the party. Very interesting to watch.
It was working.
On the Democratic
side. Making America great again.
On the Democratic side, though, we had a moderate candidate, almost similar to my good friend Phil Ayer down here.
Well, I wouldn't call Phil Ayer moderate. But we have to comment. Okay.
Anyway, so this moderate guy, perfectly sane, cost-effective strategies.
Wait! I can't let that go. What? is the Democrat cost-effective strategy.
He actually thought things through instead of saying, we're going to do this for free, everyone can
Well,
have
you're a
this.
Bernie Sanders socialist. You want free stuff. You want free college, free healthcare, free everything.
Bernie is more logical than most people give him credit for.
You'll have to give me some more details on the plan then, because the conservative impression is that Democrats think everything's for free, and it's going to, you think the national debt at 20 trillion is bad, wait till it's 60 trillion. And that's kind of where we're going with that. Were you going to comment there?
It was just one of my friends said, Cortez isn't a socialist, she's a social democrat. Bernie is also not a socialist. That's what I was about to say. The stupidest thing these people can do is call themselves socialists. They're not social. They want capitalism with a safety net, like we had before the so-called Reagan Revolution.
It's interesting you should say that. We should talk about that too. To me, they are socialists. If you're a Democrat socialist, you're still a socialist. Okay? And so the perception from the conservatives is the minute the word socialist is there, I mean, Democrat almost means socialist to most conservatives. Now, it's not that bad. There's a difference. But, we go back to the old style, like the John Kennedy Democrats, which were much more conservative. It's like Kennedy Democrats were almost more conservative than a lot of Republicans today. It's really kind of interesting.
Really not that different than today's Democrats.
In a lot of ways they are. We should talk about the space program, I think. See, Kennedy, and this is some things that transcend party, Kennedy had vision.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about him. He's still my favorite president.
Oh, yeah.
Even though he was a Democrat, but because he had vision. I like Calvin Coolidge. He had a place that he wanted to go. Ronald Reagan was extremely popular. He was not my favorite president because he didn't. He talked about things, but he didn't have the courage of actually following through on some things. Trump does. So Trump is my new favorite president right now. So I have to go Coolidge, Kennedy, Trump as far as politicians go. But you're
two of my least favorites and one of my favorites.
Okay. All right. So we both agree on Kennedy, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. But he had the space program. So now we have the Space Force. We got to have a new theme for that. I wonder what it's going to be. What the theme for the Space Force? It's going to be a TV show, Space Force. Yeah, I kind of like it. We have Air Force, now we have Space Force. It's kind of cool. So back to
the Green Party.
Back to the So and then did we finish the Democrat guy?
Almost. So yeah, we had this good Democrat who
contradiction.
In my opinion. Okay.
All right, that was my cheap shot. We get one cheap shot per day. I've used my cheap shot. All right, go ahead.
So, in my opinion, a perfectly good candidate who would have done a lot of good for Ohio. And then we had the Green Party. We had this old radical hippie.
This is how it ties in. Okay, there we go. So let's just get everybody caught up. So we had a Trump Republican. Okay, we had basically a reasonable Democrat. All right, and then the Green Party candidate.
Almost like, if you guys know him, Jeremy Corbyn over in the UK.
Is that where he's from?
No, but I'm comparing them because this guy is this wacko leftist who completely took over the British Labour Party, and I see a lot of similarities with him and our Green Party. And this guy, he had long hair, which I like, but just looked like an absolute nutcase. And every time he would talk, he would make an absolute fool of himself. Didn't know the issues, no idea what he was talking about, but he appealed to a certain subset of the left. So in my opinion,
what would that certain subset be?
The far left, who want to see the party move more to the left.
The socialists?
I wouldn't say socialists. In a way, I'm one of them, but we can't lose our minds here. And this guy is a good example of losing our minds.
Okay.
And in my opinion, this guy, is essentially knowing full well he can never win, just came in, stirred the pot, took votes away from this good guy who would have done good things for Ohio, and now this carbon copy of Donald Trump, whether you like or dislike him, is in all likelihood going to be elected simply because this guy distracted and caused trouble and took votes away from the Democrat.
That's an argument that goes on all the time. It happened with Ross Perot, and that was part of the posting.
I'm a big Ross Perot guy myself. Ross Perot and Ralph Nader, I would have voted for both of them.
I met Ralph Nader. I worked with him when he was very interesting. There was a thing called, when I did my internship in Congress, and it was 1980, there was a thing called Big Business Day. It was all about the corruption in business. Actually, it's really interesting. And there are problems with big business. So there are big businesses that are horrible. If business was completely unregulated, we'd have company towns. They'd pay people $1 an hour, and they would, make fortunes. And so completely unrestrained capitalism. I don't even like the term capitalism because Marx came up with that. So I would say completely unrestrained free markets where there's no control of any kind. All power corrupts. All corporate power is just as corrupt as political power. And so there are problems with that as well. But, so the Green guy comes in. Now, do you think that the Democrat would have won if the Green Party candidate wasn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
Has the numbers borne that out? Have they...
This guy got
surveys
thousands upon thousands of votes, even though he never would have appealed to the majority of people.
Okay.
I mean, the majority of them voted for either the Republican or the Democrat.
Yeah.
But this guy, got just enough that he was able to, essentially cause this guy to lose.
You know, they said the same thing, if I remember, with Ralph Nader, who was the Green Party candidate, again, for president, that if he hadn't run, Al Gore would have run away with the election with George Bush. He took away enough votes there, too. And we also hear that the Libertarian Party, you get it from both sides, because the Republicans will say the Libertarian Party is taking Republican votes. My contention is, and this is where I disagree with you slightly, nobody can take votes from anybody else, all right? Because each person gets a vote, they should vote for the person that they want. So in other words, this whole idea that I think it's a way that the two parties maintain power, that they will say is that, you know, you have to vote for us, Republicans say vote for us, don't vote for the Libertarians. The Democrats will say vote for us, don't vote for the Greens. And so you maintain this two-party hierarchy, and the range of political issues and perspective gets progressively more narrow as Republicans and Democrats, you know, get kind of closer together on a lot of things. The big issues, the national debt, defense, the lack of entitlement reform, all the really big issues, the things that nobody's talking about. You know, we're talking about the peripheral things that are going on in Washington, but those big issues don't get solved because the two parties are a lot closer than they should be.
Right.
So I think you lose part of the debate. The other point I want to make on this, unless you want to react to that first of all.
I was going to say, we also talked earlier about Gary Johnson's Aleppo blunder, and I think with a lot of these third-party candidates, it's not that there's some big conspiracy against them, it's that they're wackos who don't know what they're talking about.
Okay.
And
Gary Johnson was governor, I think, of New Mexico for a couple of terms and was very successful, if I remember. So he didn't just like suddenly burst out of the Libertarian Party and say, here I am. My problem, and the second point I want to make, is that people run for office not necessarily to be elected, but to raise issues. Pat Buchanan was famous for this. He knew he wasn't going to be president, but he changed the debate. He moved things over. He brought in things that never would have been discussed if he hadn't been there. And to me, that is every bit as important. So I would say to this person, if he wants to run, you know, he obviously, you know, was a viable candidate. He got, you know, several thousand votes. Now, did that swing the election? Maybe yes, maybe no. But the thing is, he was there and he had every right to do it. I would actually like to see more people running. In fact, I want to stop calling third parties third parties. All right. And another thing we talked about the other week was, would we be better off with no parties at all? I think so.
So I'm going to say, there should indeed be third parties, and they should be represented. But you can't come third parties. All right. So at what point do you earn being a third party? Where do you? Ross Perot was a good example. He had a good platform.
Ross Perot was a fraud. He was there to get Bill Clinton elected.
He took votes from Clinton. If anything, he did more to help Bush. Clinton won because Bush shot himself in the foot multiple times. When he said,
Bush is a terrible candidate.
When he said, read my lips, no new taxes, and then there were new taxes, Clinton essentially won the election. But it was looking for a while before he was blackmailed into dropping out, like Ross Perot was going to win. He had 54% of the vote.
Who was blackmailed? Ross Perot was blackmailed and dropping out? By who?
I don't remember exactly who it was, but yeah, he was running, got blackmailed into dropping out, and then he came back. And when he came back, he only got 20% of the vote. But that was still more than any third-party candidate since then has gotten. He earned his way into the national spotlight, and I think if they hadn't become such a joke, the reform